Hello and aloha to everyone on the planet Earth. The new greeting revealed by God. God is glorious, the most glorious. Time today is 11:58. It's June the 14th. Yes. So, continuing the subject from last night, we're talking about the moderations and understanding the balance and order of priorities and whatnot. Tonight we're going to talk about the lack of moderation and balance in the life, in individual and society. Where's this coming from? Why are we lacking this? Number one reason for this is the prime directive that I mentioned before, that for everything in this universe there is a center around which everything comes into regulations, administration, moderation, balance, orbit. Everything goes around that. The scepter of God in the material life is gravity. He chose the bigger mass of the sun in the center, around which everything will have to revolve and rotate because it warps the space. Smaller things cannot get out. In the life, for everything there's a center. If this city of Guelph does not have a center, which is called City Hall, imagine how many buildings would go on without permit, roads and everything else. It'd be total chaos. So definitely the order in the city is based on the center of the city, which is the City Hall. Definitely if you go in countries like Africa or any place that there is no such strong organization at the center, you can see that codes are not, building codes and road codes and all that is not done properly, and a lot of people are suffering because of it. They may simply die. I had seen that in my life. As a contractor, I've seen it. So as the cities, they would have to have a center for themselves. That is the province, the state. And the states would have to have a federation of themselves. It would be the federal government that regulates them. We have done this far and understood this far that creating these social centers have helped us. The stronger they are, the better they are, the better the society is. How come nobody thinks that we have to have a center for the earth that organizes all the countries? So then environment becomes a universal issue, because the weather is not Canadian or American, it changes anywhere wants to go. Or wind. Or if the trees gets fire in Brazil, it can destroy everybody else. There is no universal regulation, although there are a lot of universal issues. One of them is environment. So, how come we haven't grown to that? We have come close enough that the time has come that we need it. We don't have it, we don't understand this, we're out of balance then. Because these countries, just as the provinces in Canada, they rotate and revolve around their center, Canada or US or other countries, their center to revolve around it. So pockets, of NATO, another pocket, I don't know, United Nations, non-allied countries, Commonwealth, and all kind of centers are there. There's chaos, in fact. There's no proper center. Definitely then, the lack of the balance and moderations in the social life and economical life of the planet can easily be identified as having lack of a universal government. But there's another prime directive that I mentioned, Abdul-Baha says, that the spiritual matters and issues and the physical issues are hand in hand. They run parallel. If there's a cup, a glass, identical to that glass is also the idea of the glass. that has made the matter to fall into that idea to become glass. So there is a spiritual side to everything. So I wonder, what would be the spiritual center for humanity? If there's no such center, and I didn't recognize that center, all these huge scientists, or especially religious people of different religions, like different planets, with no center, they just collide into each other. It's a total chaos. That center is called Baha'ullah. Why is it the center? It's because in the last 150 years, Baha'u'llah has been the only person and only ideology, if I could call it, that has convinced people of all kind in the planet. He's the only one, when it comes to the ratio of the power, who has convinced more people of different types. Baha'u'llah ranks one. At the same time, Baha'is are not that many at all. They don't advertise. Even to give to the Baha'i fund is very restricted. If you're not a Baha'i, you can't. So this is not a money issue. Why is Baha'u'llah convincing these people? He probably knows exactly where the needs are, because mankind is a sucker to fulfill his needs. He would have to go to fulfill his needs. If the Muslim of all kinds, Christians of all creeds and denominations, Buddhists and Hindus and atheists and blacks and white and Americans, Canadian and Finnish and Swedish and Brazilian, all this type of people, all of them, they have been convinced by Baha'u'llah about the truth. Therefore, there is a sense of balance and moderation among the Baha'is. I told you the stories. I was coming from India. I got stuck in Japan. There you go. All of a sudden, an unknown Japanese to me, otherwise known to Baha'u'llah, he came and helped me out. Basically, the National Spiritual Assembly of Japan and Iranian was held by Japanese. Can you believe it? And they saved me that day. This story happens everywhere. So, even the life, personal life of a person, he does not understand the center. It's very, very important. Around which he would have to revolve to be the part of the solar system. Spiritual solar system. If it doesn't recognize who the center is, the man is lost into the space of the oblivion. He's gone. You see? And we have to understand this center, which is Baha'u'llah, and find out from his writing what our orbit is. Stay on the orbit, enjoy our life along with everybody else, under the gravity, under the spiritual gravity of him. We all come into the things, into moderations, into regulations, into balance. This is the main issue, why there is no balance in our personal life, in our social economical life, in our countries, in our individual and society as a whole. That is the biggest and most important things. I can go on forever to talk to you, but you got to be smart to listen to me, because I don't have all kind of money and all kind of power and age. I'm just a contractor, okay? No priest, certainly. I am Mr. Misunderstood. So my power is very limited. At this time of night I have to come to talk. The second things that is cause the balance to falter and not to be there, not to understand the relativity See again, the prime directive of Abdul-Baha in physical and spiritual lives, that when Einstein proved everything is relative, time is relative, the whole world, motions, everything we have. We're in a relative world. So as in the spiritual way, it's the same thing. Baha'i faith even is a relative truth, Shoghet and this is. It's relative to know, to us, to this time is truth. 1,000 years from now it's not. So we have to understand, by knowledge of this spiritual relativity, what's relative, what's not relative, what's irrelevant. Because last night I said, Baha'ullah says, in everything a moderation is okay. That is not applicable to lying and killing. So moderate, we have to be moderate. We should not kill 1,000 people, but we could kill few. That is not what the relativity works. To kill is always wrong. To lie is always wrong. To use cocaine is always wrong. Always. But to go and save people's life 24 hours a day is right. Always is right. There are things that always enhances us, such as, being happy and make other people happy, immediately affects us. And there are things that are bad, definitely, absolutely bad. But then there are things in between. They're not on the spectrum of being bad or good, they're somewhat in the center. For example, eating certain type of food. So you have to be moderate in eating food. Don't eat too much, don't eat less. You have to understand, you apply this. When it comes to the irrelevant and harmful to us and to humanity, all those things absolutely wrong. They're good, absolutely right. If they're in between, well, we have to use our own mathematics to understand this. The third one is really lack of wisdom. We have to apply. This wisdom is very, very important. I just mentioned that doing good things, it can go 24 hours. Even that cannot go on. Let's say in a chaotic situation,